Hey, I'm Melanie Johnson along with my co-host Jen Foster. We are both 13-time best-selling authors. We've published over 2,500 books and made all of our authors #1 bestsellers. We own Elite Online Publishing. If you want to become a best-selling author, look us up at eliteonlinepublishing.com. Now, welcome to the podcast that shares secrets from top industry experts that show you how to get lasting success and results. This is the Elite Expert Insider Podcast. Hey, we are here again for another incredible podcast with my business partner, Jen Foster. Hey, Jen, what's going on?
Hey, how's everyone doing? It's a great day in podcasting world.
In the podcast land, and we are going to talk about podcasts today. If you've been wondering how to become a guest on a podcast, like to get on our show or other big shows, like, dang, I would love to be on a podcast. How do I do that? Guess what? We are going to tell you how to do that today because we have an expert. I love her, Kelly Glover. She is from the other half of the world. I'm going to say Australia, but she may say, no, I'm from New Zealand because I can't remember which one it is. Australia? She's shaking her head, yes?
Australia, yeah.
And oh my gosh, she's got a bundle of energy. She is a talent manager. She gets people on podcasts. She gets them booked, which of course explodes your business. So let's talk. We are firm believers. So let's dive into it. Kelly, thanks for coming today.
Thank you. It's a pleasure. Yes, I'm a koala, not a Kiwi. So just think about it that way. So I'm excited to be on your show, ladies.
Yeah, we're happy to have you here. So tell us how you got into this podcasting world. How did you even start?
So I have a background in commercial radio. I was a syndicated radio announcer, 20 years in entertainment, moved from Australia to the US, actually went to college here in Ohio, moved to Los Angeles, could not get a job in radio with this accent, started podcasting, and the rest is history. So I've been podcasting since 2007, been guest booking since about 2014, started my business in 2017. So I've booked a few thousand interviews in the last 6 years or so. So it's been amazing watching the revolution of podcast guesting, which wasn't even a word and didn't exist when I started my career, which is amazing.
Yes.
All right, well, let's start with the why, because some people are like, well, podcasting is cool, but why would I want to be on one? Let's start with the why before Jen will move into the how part.
I think podcasting is reaching people for an extended period of time, and you couldn't get that access normally. So if we're reading a book, if we're reading a blog post, we're going to skim through it and we have to focus completely on that. But if you're listening to a podcast, you can be doing something else at the same time. And it's a way to get a sense of people's personalities that you can't necessarily get through writing and other forms of media. So right now you're listening to me. You can hear if I'm excited. You can hear if I know what I'm talking about. There's all these things. You can tell if you like me or not, the speed of my voice, the words I use, the excitement, all these different things. And so I think being a guest on podcast, you get an extended period of time and it's an expedition of the know, like, and trust factor. So that is just one of the reasons, but there's so many reasons, but I think that's the big why.
Awesome. I love it. And why is the most important, but how is also important. So how do you do a podcast? How would you even go about it if you were to start doing a podcast?
How do you get
or being a guest on a podcast?
Yeah. So I think, hey, I want to be on a podcast because I want to reach expert status, get that authority, credibility, reputation, get known, influence, all those things. That's about step 5 or 6. You have to go all the way back to the beginning and think, who am I talking to and what do I want them to do as a result of listening to me on the show? Because can you get booked? Yes, but if you don't know, like we're saying, the why, if you don't know who you're talking to, if you don't have a little bit of a plan on the realistic expectations and the result, then it's not going to work for you because it is a lot of busy work and takes a lot of time. So you want to make sure that you put your time and resources in the right area. So reverse engineering is super, super important. So it's going back to that beginning. Now, we're assuming that everyone here is an author, has written a book, in the process of writing a book, plans to write a book. So you really need to get going on podcasts a long time. You can't do it. My book's coming out on Monday. I want to be on podcasts on Monday. There's a bit of a runway and planning involved ahead of time. So I think that's something else that you need to do in the how. And then it's having all your assets ready to go. So do you have your book and or whether it's a digital download, however you're going to send it, to send to the person to get in advance with enough lead time for them to actually look at it and read it? Do you have your online press kit? Do you have your talking points? Are you clear on your personal branding, what you're offering the audience? Because, hey, I've written a book and I want to be on your podcast is not going to cut it when it comes to pitches. So you need to think, who am I talking to? What do they need? What solution am I offering and what value am I giving them? And then I'm the person to deliver that message. So even though you've written a book, which is amazing, hey, I've got a book and I want to be on your show is not the thought process to go when it comes to podcasting. So they're just a few things to think about and get ready up front. And that's before you've even looked at a show, pitched a show, written your pitch, got your one sheet or anything in order.
Now, do you help people do that? Do you walk them through a process to help them create that at all?
Yeah, absolutely. Because I think you might go, well, I know what I'm talking about. I know who I'm speaking to. But sometimes it takes an external party to ask you the right questions for you to realize, oh, I was going over here, but I should go over there. And I only want to go on the Tim Ferriss show. Well, that's pretty much like saying I want to get married, but I'll only marry Brad Pitt. And if it's not Brad Pitt, I'm not, that's it. Well, you're probably going to be single for the rest of your life. Sorry about that. So it's setting the expectations, knowing the shows you want to go on, and your talking points, because I want to go and talk about entrepreneurship. Great. But that's not something we can pitch. Or if you're doing it yourself through your team, yourself, your VA, whomever, that's not going to get you booked on a show. It's not specific enough. It's not a hook. So you need to really craft, and as writers, that's something you can do, is really craft those hooks, because the first step is just getting that email opened. So you could be the best person in the world, but if you don't have a great subject line, a great couple of lines in that email to get the person, it's like a door and you have to keep unlocking doors, unlocking doors, unlocking doors. So the press kit isn't going to get you booked. The subject line isn't going to get you booked. The email isn't going to get you booked. They're all just ticks in a box for the host, as you would know, to go, okay, yes, I'm interested, and I'm now going to vet this person myself to see if they're suitable for the show. So it's just to get to the vetting point. And again, that's where the personal brand and socials come in. If you get to that point where it's a yes and they do a whip around and your message isn't congruent with what you've pitched, you're not going to get through. So if your LinkedIn message is different to your Facebook message, is different to your website, if everything is a dog's breakfast and you don't have great photos, you haven't been on other interviews, you won't get that yes. So that's what I mean when I say, yeah, you want to be on a podcast, amazing, but there's all this stuff you have to have before. People will say done is better than perfect. And that is true in a lot of cases. But when it comes to pitching the media for earned media, it's not the case, because you have one chance and that's it. And if you blow it, you're not getting that booking and your personal brand is damaged. So maybe the both of you can speak to that, because you get pitched every day.
Yeah.
So you would be on the receiving end. So what is your perspective on that?
Yeah, for me, I mean, I see all the emails come in, and I go and look at their social media, go and try and find them on LinkedIn. And sometimes it's hard to find people, like they don't have all the links in there. So they didn't even do the right pitch. Like they didn't even give me all the information I need to know to make my decision. And the other times it'll be just a short email with like a link to their bio, or they'll send a picture of their headshot with their one sheet. And that's not even quite enough information either. It really depends. And then a few times we've even got pitched where it doesn't even fit our podcast at all. So, that's one thing that I think whoever is booking them either didn't understand what our podcast was about, or they didn't even research our podcast. They're just spamming people and whoever has a podcast, they're spamming everyone,
Yeah, I think when it comes to pitching and getting yourself booked on shows, you need to realize you're a guest at somebody else's party and you're asking to come to their party.
Yeah.
So you need to, instead of going, hey, I want to come to your party, that's a bit so what, who cares? What is in it for the listener? That is the first question you need to ask, because yes, you're pitching the hosts, but really they're just the warden to access to the audience. What is in it for the audience? What are they learning as a result of you being a guest on that show? And what will they be able to do at the end? So is it, hey, I've got a book? No, but your book is the solution to their problem. And you, as the writer of that book, are the person that is the expert and best position to speak on that matter. So it's just reframing what you already know and coming in with an offer instead of an ask up front.
So part of it is like when we read those things, it's like you may have something that's valuable to my audience. I like the slant that you're taking on this, but what makes you credible to be able to tell me? Like, it's like, don't take advice from broke people, right? So, I mean, it's like if you haven't had success and I can't see your success necessarily on your online footprint, meaning you're an author, you're running a company or what, I have to see that have a proven track record that I should listen to you. Why should I listen to you? This is a good thought, but why should I listen?
Yeah. So at the Talent Squad, we call those credibility markers, and they can be any number of things, but it's evidence. It goes from so what, who cares, to why you, and prove it. And you really need to be able to back it up. Otherwise, you're just saying it. So book is a huge credibility marker. As soon as you've got a book, that already positions you as an expert. So that is huge. And I think it trumps a lot of things, but it's also having media experience. So as a podcast host, we don't expect that you've been on Good Morning America or have the Oprah show. That's not you. We get that. But you do need to have some media experience, and again, prove that, because as a host and or producer, one of the first things they'll do is, where else have you spoken? And are you a good guest? Because you can be the most expert person in the world and have the best content, but if you're not able to speak and engage in an interesting way, then that doesn't make you a good guest, and podcasts aren't the medium for you.
So even though you are fantastic at getting people booked on podcasts, they still have to qualify for you, right?
Absolutely, because as an agency and for yourself, not everyone is suited to every medium. Pick the medium that is best suited for you. But that doesn't also mean that if you're an introvert that you can't do media. Flip that. Podcasts are the best medium if you are an introvert, because you don't have to leave the house and essentially you're speaking to one person. And at the Talent Squad, we also say practice in private before you go public. So you don't have to wait until your first interview to make sure you nail it. I know on my laptop, I've got all these programs down the bottom here. One's called Photo Booth. That's the one I use a lot. And I just open it up, press record, and I practice speaking to myself. If there's something I need to think through and I want to make sure I get that message right, I'll just turn it on, talk to myself for maybe 3 minutes a day, get used to saying it. And then by the end of the week, I've nailed it. So you can have a little practice before you do that first podcast or the first few podcasts to make sure you're comfortable. And then when you do that recording, you're absolutely fine. The other thing, podcasts aren't live. They're pre-recorded. So you don't have to worry about looking at a set of 500 eyes looking back at you, or that it's going out live. You can know that most of the time the host will be able to edit it, and most of the time they won't, but it's just knowing that it's not live. There's something comforting in that.
Yes. I think we get that question all the time, is will it be live? Which I have heard of some podcasts that are live, but we've never done it live just because that's just not how it works, right? And that's how we do it. But live is definitely a comfort that you're just speaking to that one person.
So the way a radio term is live to tape, meaning you're going from start to finish. It's not going out over the air live, but it's basically one take. So if you think of it as live to tape, I think that's the best way of thinking about it. Expect nothing will get edited, but know that it is an option. And if you do make a mistake and then say, look, I said this, then the host is most likely to be able to do that edit for you, because they want you to sound the best. They want to look the best. And it's not a trick. They're not out to trick you. They want everybody to look the best in their audience to get the best from it.
Yes. So what should someone be looking for when they want to hire a booking agent to book them on podcasts? What are the things? Because I'm sure there's other people that do what you do, but how do they know that they're getting a credible person, someone they can rely on and actually is going to get the job done?
I would say look at somebody that has a history beyond being a virtual assistant and been in the industry for 5 minutes. So I've been in media for 20 years. I've been a talent agent. I have done movie premieres, interviewing celebrities. I have done my own syndicated radio show, and I've been a producer for mid-six-figure branded podcasts. So the reason that that's important is I know what it's like to host a show, to book a show, to be a guest on the show. So you really need to understand what everybody wants from the situation. So I know what a producer wants because I've been one. I know what it takes to be a good guest because I've been one. So I think knowing that will help the person booking you understand the right type of show and what people are looking for. So it's having an understanding of that. It's not, like you said, it's not just about, anyone can send an email and a blanket pitch to anybody, but that is actually going to damage your brand. So I would look for an agency that is going to really take care of your brand and pitch them how they would pitch themselves, as opposed to just sending an email. So really think about how your brand is being represented in the media marketplace.
Very important. We're very brand conscientious here too about that. And then are different bookers in different niches? Like if you're a political person, are there political bookers? Are there healing bookers that are really specialized in healing podcasts? Or
I think some agencies will just do business podcasts and entrepreneurs, but I've booked everything from someone that's gone up Everest to be snowblind, to a dominatrix, to somebody that runs 3,100 miles around Mont Blanc in New York City for a marathon. No, it's true. I know, it's funny.
I know you slipped in that dominatrix thing. You know, you're like, what?
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
But any booker, it's all about content. It's all about finding the right audience. It's all about recognizing somebody's expertise. So if you're a good booker, you should be able to book anyone, anywhere, to the right audience at any time, because it's the talent of the person and the audience they reach, not the niche. If you only know, and the part of the skill is research. It's research and knowing what makes a good show. I can turn on a show and I will hear in more in 30 seconds than other people will hear if they listen to the show 20 times for the full half an hour. So it's knowing the quality of the audio, the quality of the host, if there's a little gap in there, if the music's too loud, all these different things. So it's, there's a lot more. It seems simple, and it is, but it doesn't mean that it's easy. And to get the right person on the right show at the right time it's very skilled. And I love the skill in it. So it's not just about plugging holes, and get someone that's excited about you and your content and the shows. So again, you can hear, I get excited. I'm excited about all my guests and if my clients, and if I'm not, I don't take them on. If I can't get behind it and don't think someone should hear that message, I'm not booking you. And the other thing, it's not about sales. It's not about selling a pair of sunglasses to somebody. That is not what podcasting is about. It's earned media, and it's not, I'm going to go on X show and then expect X sales the next day. So as authors, it's not about moving a volume of books after somebody listening to it the first time. It's about them getting in your ecosystem for the know, like, and trust factor, and seeing you as the expert. So just know that getting booked is a long play.
I like that. How important do you think it is for a podcast to be interviewing celebrities and, you know, six-figure clients? Like, is that important, or is it okay to just be, you know, interviewing an author who isn't a six-figure earner?
I think it depends on the audience. There are shows that want celebrities and that's what they're after. But if you're there to educate an audience, then it's about the person that has the most expertise on the topic that you want to speak on. However, know that they are looking at your social media. And a lot of the time you need to be equal to or more than with regards to numbers to get on that show. People don't talk about it, but it's true, because they want you to be in the same ballpark. You can't be in Little League and expect to go to the Olympics. So they will be looking at that. So make sure you're a little bit realistic. It doesn't mean you can't have a stretch goal. It doesn't mean you can't reach out. It doesn't mean that you won't get there. But people want the expert. Like, I might have climbed up Everest, just to use that as an example, but that doesn't mean I have 5 million followers. But I've done that, and not many people with 5 million followers may have done that. So I'm still the expert in, or a scientist, or whatever it is. So it's all relative. But if you're a social media person talking about visibility and talking about followers and you have 5 followers, then you're not going to get on that show because you're not walking your talk.
Right.
So think about it that way. And the other thing, you're competing against the back catalog. So if you're pitching a show, look at who else has been on that show. If Oprah's been on, Tim Ferriss have been on, Marie Forleo have been on, then the last 3 guests, ask yourself, am I in that league? And if not, now might not be, it doesn't mean you won't be, but now might not be the best time to pitch yourself for that show because it's brand damaging. And what it says is you're not self-aware. So self-awareness is very key. So, but still have those stretch goals and pitch yourself, but just be a little bit self-aware. So can you get on if you're not a celebrity with tons of numbers? Yes, you can.
That's good to know.
Well, tell us where we can find you.
TheTalentSquad.com. And if you go there, I've got a whole bunch of blogs on little bite-sized pieces of information. So whether you pitch yourself, choose an agency, or get someone from your team to do it, I really honestly think having podcast guesting as part of your strategy is super important, and the time to start is yesterday. So get all the information and just represent yourself and your personal brand in the best way possible.
Awesome. We'll put that link up at the bottom and in the show notes. And thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
Kelly, you just rock it. I love you. I have so much fun every time I talk to you. Your energy is just off the charts. I love it. All right. So if you're looking to be a guest on podcast and you have a book, or maybe you don't have a book, but you have other things of credibility, we can fix the book part over here. Come to us at Elite Online Publishing, and she can get you books. So look up the Talent Squad, and also remember to subscribe to our podcast because we have so many great topics that we have here. We have amazing people like Kelly that come on our show. You're always going to learn something, and it's going to expand your horizons. And if you're hanging out at home, all kinds of stuff is going on right now, so you might be home more than normal. So we'll see you next time right here at Elite Online Publishing and Elite Expert Insider, and we'll see you next time. Bye.
Bye. Make it a great day. Go get booked on a podcast.
Are you looking to increase your revenue, build credibility, and elevate your brand? This podcast is brought to you by Elite Online Publishing, an innovative publishing and full spectrum marketing company. They will publish and market your book to make it a #1 bestseller. Becoming an author is the best way to market your business. So contact them at eliteonlinepublishing.com today. All of their authors become #1 bestsellers.